Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from group 2. We are consist of 5 members. There are Revi, Andra, Kevi, Reza, and I am Chandra as the moderator. Okay, for presenter 1, times is yours, please.
My name is Rosatgar and my student's number is 2021-22044. The first material is transitivity. In functional grammar, transitivity is considered to be a continuum rather than a binary category as in traditional grammar. The continuum view takes a more semantic approach. One way it does this is by taking into account the degree to which an action affects its object. For example, the verb see is described as having lower transitivity than the verb kill. In this chapter, we shall talk about the clause as representation. Through the system of transitivity, we shall be exploring the clause in its who, does, what, to, whom, who or what, is, what or who, when, where, why, or how function. There are in fact 3 semantic categories which explain in general way how phenomena of the real world are represented as a linguistic structure. The one of 3 semantics category is process.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Gibitra Anggraini. My student's number is 2021-22069. Here, I'm going to tell you about the processes. But before, like my friend said before, that there are 3 semantic categories. First one is circumstance, the second is processes, and the last is participant. And the processes is the central of the transitivity itself, while the participants and the circumstance are incumbent upon the doings, happenings, feelings, and beings. There are 7 different types of processes that defined by Halliday. The first one is material. It is about what are we doing. The second is behavioral. It is what are we behaving. The third is mental. It is what are we sensing. The fourth is verbal. It is what are we are saying. The fifth is relational. It is what are we being. The sixth is existential. It is what are we existing. And the last one is meteorological. It is about weathering. Processes are released by verbs, but in traditional grammar, that verbs are defined as the doing words. But from the list of 7 types of processes, we can see that verbs are not doing words at all, but rather it express the state of being or having. And now we'll talk about the material processes. Material processes are processes of material doing. It is they express the notion about someone that does something and maybe done to something or someone else. And the clause with the material processes must include two things. The first one is doing as the process, and the second is doer as the participant. The example in the sentence, the fuel ignites. The fuel as the participant and ignites as the process. So we can say that the participant, we can divide it into 2. The first one as the actor, and the second one as the goal. The actor is who or which does something, and the goal is which may be done by the actor. Goal is most like the direct object in traditional grammar. As you know that the direct object is may taken by the transitive verbs. But the fact there are 40% of verbs in dictionary are listed as being both of transitive and intransitive verb. That's it. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ewe Septia with students number 2021-22058. So, material process divided into two varieties which are creative and dispositive. In the creative type, the goal is brought by the process or material. So, in short, in creative type, the material or process is making a goal. For example, the materials are like created, built, developed, etc. For example, in the sentence, Handel were the Messiah. So, who's making the Messiah? It's Handel. What Handel did to the Messiah? He worked it. For another example, Kimi built a car. So, Kimi is just basically making a car. And the next, in the dispositive type, we have doings and happenings. It means dispositive type, the material process, is affecting a goal. For example, the materials are like sand, throw, dissolve, etc. For example, in a sentence, Claude dismissed Felix. Claude is the actor, dismiss is the material, Felix is the goal. So how Claude affecting Felix? Claude affecting Felix by dismissing him. He just basically sent him out of the room. For another example, Asano threw the ball. Asano is the actor, threw is the material, the ball is the goal. So how Asano affecting the ball? Asano affecting the ball by throwing it. And mental process take both the active voice and the passive voice. For example, the sentence used before, Claude dismissed Felix. So in the passive sentence, it will be like Felix was dismissed by Claude. So the goal is switching the position with the actors. And so, how to recognize a material process? And to recognize a material process is to do a probe. What did A do to B, or what happened to B? For example, in a sentence, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack and Jill are the actors, while a pail of water is the goal. So what Jack and Jill did to a pail of water? They fetched it. And there is no further participant which may be incumbent on material processes called range. Range is basically just another name for the process itself. For example, they run the race. On the sentence above before, where race is really a restatement of the process of run. You cannot have races unless you run them. So really the two participants are saying the same thing.
Now I'm going to tell about mental processes. Mental processes are ones of sensing, feeling, thinking, and perceiving. There are three types: affective or reactive, that's feeling; cognitive, that's thinking; and perceptive, perceiving through the five senses. And the participant involved in mental processes is not so much acting or acting, even in doing sense as sensing or like having feelings, perceiving or what is it? Thinking. Participant roles in mental processes are sensor and phenomenon. The sensor is by definition of a conscious being. For only those who are conscious can of course attribute or impute consciousness to non-sensate beings. For example, that toaster doesn't like me, I swear. The phenomenon is that which is sensed, felt, told, or seen. A toaster doesn't like me. A participant is that toaster is sensor and doesn't like is process mental, and participant phenomenon is me. We can have clauses with sensor and phenomenon, like Mark likes new clothes. Mark is sensor and likes is mental affect, and clothes and new clothes is phenomenon. We are going to censor only. Mark understood. Mark is sensor and understood is mental cognitive. And phenomenon only, loneliness hearts. Loneliness is phenomenon and heart is mental effect.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Andrea Harisanjaya with NPM 2021-22054. Mental processes, like verbal processes, have the potential to project. Projections occurs when one clause suggests that something was thought or said. The projecting clause and another separate clause indicates what it was that was thought or said. The projecting and projective clause are each analyzed in their own right. In the pairs below, the first clause example does not project while the second does. For example, I realize the difficulties. I, as a sensor, realize as a mental cognition and the difficulties as a phenomenon. Then, I realize that there are difficulties. I, as a sensor, realize as a mental cognition that there are as existential and difficulties as existent. And the second example is I know the man who called on you. I, as a sensor, know as a mental cognition the man who called on you as a phenomenon. Then I know that someone called on you. I, as a sensor, know as a mental cognition that someone, as actor, called on as a material and you as a goal. That's all from me. Thank you.
Enough from us. I'm sorry if there are any mistake. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.